desperately needing Jesus in this moment. And a lot of us have gotten to this place where we just don't think about it anymore, and we just assume that we're going to grow because we're at church over and over and over. And we just assume that we're going to grow, but when we actually take that step back and go, am I growing? Where am I growing? Not, oh, that was a good message. I felt the Lord moving in my... No, where am I? Where is it taking me? This happened this week. The Lord does this sometimes. He makes me look stupid to use it as an illustration later. So I was working on a document on my computer this week, and number one, I'm not a computer genius, but that doesn't offer me any excuse here. I take my laptop into my office where I have my printer, and I pull up the document, and I set the computer on the desk, and I pull up close to my printer, and I start doing a bunch of other things, and then I remember I need to print this document, and I make sure I pull it up, and I hit print. And I wait. And, I've got an old school printer, and it takes a few seconds to kind of get everything and work up. And so I'm just kind of waiting, and all of a sudden, it's taking a lot longer than usual. I look over there to see if the light's on the printer. Like, yeah, I usually leave it on. It's all right. I mean, it's everything's going on here. And then it literally takes me several seconds of wondering why it's not printing to realize that my printer is not plugged into my laptop. Now, some of you guys are high tech. You can be anywhere in your house and hit print, and that thing, you've got a digital connect. Listen, I'm not that guy, okay? But in that moment, I felt like an absolute idiot as I looked down there and that cable's just sitting at my feet, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to tell people this someday. But then it hit me. I had assumed that the printer was going to work because I was so close to the printer. I just assumed as I'd kind of gone through the motions that I'd remembered to plug it in. And what I was assuming that my proximity to the printer meant that I'd remembered to plug it into the printer, and I hadn't. I was really close to the printer. I was very, very close to it. I was right next to it. I could reach out and touch it, but I wasn't plugged into it. And I just want to let you know, man, you can be here. You can hear these words. You can even have some stirring of the Spirit of God, and you can walk out of here and be completely unplugged for the entire week from Jesus. See, just proximity is not the same as intimacy. Being near my printer didn't mean it was going to work for me. It didn't mean I was going to get the power supply and the source that I needed. I had to get plugged in. I think that sometimes we get into that place spiritually where we assume that attendance in church or attendance in life group or being a nice person means that I'm also in very deep relationship with Jesus. And I just want to tell you, man, all that stuff can be done and faked. And sometimes it can be faked intentionally, and we've maybe been there before. But then I think more than that, it gets faked accidentally. Because we're not intentionally being aware of focusing our heart on Christ and being plugged into Jesus and giving Him all of ourselves.